Organizations around the world donate $19 a month to receive your exclusive Atlas Network hat. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rev has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rev. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rev.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
This is America's Voice Live.
And welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gruber.
The pulse of the people.
We need somebody that's going to hear the people's voice.
The truth the mainstream won't touch.
This guy is, by definition, a globalist.
And the stories that matter.
Rav's own Ben Berquam.
Right up over this hill, we got on Cartel. I see him.
Live.
Breaking news right now here on Real America's Voice.
Unfiltered.
These people are domestic terrorists.
And unapologetic.
We're here to take a stand for God and country. Does feel good, doesn't it?
America's Voice Live starts now.
And welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gruber. It is Friday the 13th. Oh, boy. It's February, year of our Lord 2026. Hey, we're going to be all right. Let's get to the day's top stories. As always, thank you for joining me here on Real America's Voice. I appreciate you stopping in and spending time with us. The United States faces threats to national security every single day. In this week's incident involving a cartel drone in U.S. airspace over El Paso International Airport highlights not just the threat of the cartels, but what about other countries as well? More on that coming up today. Also, President Trump and First Lady Melania were at Fort Bragg earlier today, meeting directly with military families and showing support for active duty servicemen and women. I'll bring a correspondent on in the field to get that latest. And then later, Frontlines, Turning Point USA continues its documentary series focused on Islamification in the Western world. The latest episode of the Islamization of the West focuses on the grooming of women in England. Funny how it seems to move closer to the United States each and every year. All of that coming your way. But first, I want to start with the economy here on America's Voice Live. It's good news. It seems that President Trump's economy is trying to kick in and take shape. We're seeing it every day. The latest jobs report came in stronger than expected, even with government jobs being cut. That momentum thought a stock market that has been hitting all-time highs in recent days, breaking 50,000 on the Dow for the first time ever. When you compare where the economy stands now to just 4 short years ago, the turnaround is hard to ignore. Inflation, as you may recall, peaked at 9.1% back in 2022. By 2025, core inflation was hovering around 2.6%, one of the lowest readings in years. And overall inflation was at its lowest level in 5 years. And even today, inflation continues to decline all the way down with a new number of 2.4%. My friends, it's working. President Trump has said he inherited a mess, and he did. And he's pointing to these numbers as proof that the turnaround is real, despite the critics who doubted it and said it couldn't be done. That's the real truth here. Look, 130,000 jobs, double what the so-called experts were predicting. They said 65,000. And let's add to that the fact that 42,000 government jobs went away. The private sector actually hired 172,000 people in January. The jobs report is terrific. The inflation number is terrific. It shows again that the Fed should be cutting rates, and yet they have not. Joining me to discuss is Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, one of my favorites, Tennessee 2. Congressman, nice to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother. It's a pleasure.
Well, good to have you here. You know, to hear the Democrats say it, the economy is just a mess. It's just terrible. But as you might say, the Democrats are about as crooked as a dog's leg. Looks like the economy's in pretty good shape to me, my friend. What say you?
I'd say you're accurate. I drive all over the district. I was up in Sevierville, which isn't in my district, and there's signs everywhere, hiring, hiring, hiring. You know, you don't have signs to hire people when the economy's in a downturn. We got a jobs problem, really, because things are booming, buildings booming. That's why you have HVAC, welders, electricians, plumbers. You know, you can't ship a clogged toilet to Mexico. You got to have people right here. And we don't have enough because we're busting at the seams. Our state economy is in some of the best shape it's ever been. We have zero debt. We're one of the largest depositories of U-Haul trucks and trailers because people are moving here. I used to be in the U-Haul business, and I never could get a big truck. Yeah. You know, I could get those little small pull-behind trailers all I wanted. But now they're just everywhere because why? People are moving to this state. They love what's going on down south. And people are, you know, and where it's not flourishing is in these blue states, New York, California, and other places. Their debt, their waste, their abuse, their fraud is driving people out of there, and for good reason.
Yeah. You know, the state I live in, just north of you in Michigan, the only state in America last year to raise the state income tax on the people that work here. And so when you look at those U-Haul trucks and trailers, I think a lot of them are going to have Michigan plates on them. I mean, you look at what's happening. Where is Ford Motor Company building its new plant? Right? Where's Ford Motor Company? That is a Michigan company. Born, raised, it's a Spirit of America company. Where's their new plant, Congressman?
Beautiful state of Tennessee.
Yeah, that'd be correct. And that just goes to show you, look, the migration out of California, Illinois, Michigan, New York, there's a major shift in this country going to places where there are less roadblocks to success. I mean, that's pretty clear, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, in Tennessee, we don't have an income tax. It's a right to work state. And that's why they're moving here. You know, nuclear industry is booming, is going to start booming here. Manufacturing, skilled labor, it's all coming here. And, you know, all these liberal Northeasterners, you know, they always taking shots at us. And they're basically falling on deaf ears because everybody that was once listening to them is down here. You know, there's a group in Lenoir City or Loudon down on the lake down there. It's a conservative club, and it is busting at the seams. I went to a meeting last week, and there's over 100 people there, and in a little place that I'm pretty sure was only supposed to take about half that many people. And every one of them, almost in that crowd, has a northern accent. And for good reason. They came down here to retire, but now they're investing in accents. Do what?
We don't have accents. You do. Anyhow, I'm just pulling your leg. But the truth is, they're migrating out. They want lower taxes, less roadblocks to having a chance to have the American dream. Tennessee's doing that. Texas is doing that. Florida's doing that, obviously. And Donald Trump seems to be trying to do that for the country. Look, 130,000 jobs, and that includes 42,000 jobs that left the federal government. The federal government is the smallest number of workers since 1966 and the smallest percentage of the entire American workforce ever. When Donald Trump said he was going to cut the federal government, he's actually doing it, right? He's actually doing it, right?
Absolutely. You know, the big, beautiful bill, we're the worst at messaging. Trump is the messenger in chief, but the Republicans in Congress are so weak. You know, he won overwhelmingly across this country because he talked about economic prosperity. He talked about where we should be in the world. And Congress doesn't get it. Congress doesn't have the guts. They won't codify or pass the laws that he has under making a presidential stroke of a pen. And yet the problem with that is the next president can undo it and these executive orders because Trump knows. Trump's in business. He gets it. He knows that you know, Congress is too slow to act and America needs action right now. And that, if anything, that big, beautiful bill, the one thing that we didn't talk about in that, and we should have, was that Trump foresaw this, is our energy. Energy is where it's at. Oil production, gas production, nuclear production. Those are the things and it's a national security issue. And then when Trump goes to negotiate, he's got the military behind him, the strongest military this world will ever know. But one thing Trump's got that we don't seem to grasp is the ability to control their markets, because we can tell our enemies, you all either cool it or we will cut you off. And maybe we're not doing business with them, but we're sure as hell doing business with other countries. And Trump gets that.
Yeah.
And that's why when he walks into the room, immediately gets respect. And that's why Joe Biden, if he wouldn't remember that he was in the room, but if he did walk into the room with his advisors, they would laugh at him because he would write a strong letter or make some bogus threat and never follow through with it. Trump gets it. That's what's behind all of his tariffs. You know, the timber industry, Canada, you know, they sell us a lot of timber. And the reason we're not using our own timber, because these crazy environmental laws that allow our forests to burn to the ground because we're not managing them appropriately, because these environmentalists have infiltrated every aspect of our government and are forcing it. And they're under foreign influence. They might not know it, but they are. And that's what's behind a lot of this stuff. And Trump gets that. Trump seems to be the only one in the room that understands the economic viability and the power that we hold in this country. And that's why labor is behind Trump. You know, they might not openly say it, but dadgummit, I run into these Teamsters all the time out here and these labor guys, and every dadgum one of them, you know what? They like to hunt. They like to fish. They might drink a little beer, and they'll be on the back row at the Baptist church with me, usually with their wife, begrudgingly, but they're there. But my point is this, is that they think like we do. And Trump gets that. He gets the working man. Yeah. And this bunch of Congress better wake up. Do what?
Yeah, one of the big successes this week, Congressman, the elimination of the endangerment finding from Barack Obama's time in the White House that created a lot of these environmental disasters. But I want to shift gears because, look, the momentum is in Donald Trump's favor. The jobs, the inflation, the energy policy, getting rid of these environmental restrictions and rules that made no sense at all are out of the way now. But if you don't win elections, it doesn't really matter. And that's why the SAVE Act is the single most important piece of legislation maybe in my lifetime. And I don't say that lightly. The SAVE Act, it's not that hard. Prove you're a citizen when you register to vote one time and use picture ID to vote. I saw your video. It was brilliant, showing your card as a member of Congress, saying this is what you have to vote in Congress. You put it in the little ballot machine there. You push red or you push green or you push yellow, but you cannot vote as a member of Congress without a photo ID. And they put in their cards, did the Democrats, with their picture ID to vote against picture ID. You can't make this stuff up.
It's 100%, brother. And that's what the ridiculous nature of Congress is. I was looking for it. Here it is right here. All you got to do is you pull that little card out, you stick it in the slot. And that's what you got to do. And that's my likeness. As you know, I don't take a bad picture. I have a great profile, especially from the side. That's what Burt Reynolds said. But that's the truth, man. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. And the only reason they want it is because they want to steal the elections. And shame on Chuck Schumer for saying it's racist, it's Jim Crow. It's racist to say that a member of our minority community doesn't have enough sense to walk down to get that has a picture ID. If you buy certain over-the-counter cough syrup medicines, guess what? Picture ID. You buy a gun, picture ID. I go cash a check, picture ID. If I go deposit a check in the bank for $100, and then guess what? And I say, I need to pull $20 cash out of that. Guess what? Show a dadgum picture ID. It's not racist. It's just the way it is. And, you know, here it is, a white liberal Northeasterner, Schumer, is calling us racist again. And it's disgusting. And I don't know why these minority communities and their leadership don't call him out for that by saying their folks are too ignorant. You know, most states you can get a photo ID for free from your Department of Transportation or whatever. If you go get your licenses, and they give it to you for free, not a driver's license, just a photo ID. That's all you need. Look,
government issued ID.
When I played Little League Baseball, I had to show my birth certificate. And, you know, the Democrats have been using their, their card from the morgue to allow voters, a death certificate to vote for years. I don't know why they're so upset with me saying that they need to have a photo ID. Senator Mike Lee and my buddy Chip Roy out of Texas, this is a beautiful piece of legislation. And Trump's correct. Yeah. Trump was correct once again. you know, he's a master of marketing. I wish Congress could figure it out. But he said, call it the Save America Act. Not the SAVE Act, but the Save America Act. And that's exactly what it'll do.
Right.
Because they're trying to steal our elections. And I tell you what, though, more than 12% of the population better vote. Evangelical Christians, 40% stay home. I'm one of those. I'm a Christian. I occasionally try to save a soul. I'm about 85% on that. Gun owners, 30% don't vote. That's the problem. We got a real problem, and we got to address that in this country.
You know, if you ever need a new career, I think that you and John Kennedy going on the road to comedy clubs around America would be a big hit. I just throw that out there because you're both very funny people. I have one last thing real quick because people ask, it's Friday, why not? The coat you wear, very popular. Where'd you get it? People are like, I want Burchett's coat because it's like, it's your iconic piece of equipment.
I wear it because those Yankees keep those buildings cold up. I've been wearing one of these for 30 years. It's a Carhartt. I used to make them in America. I met the vice president of Carhartt. I said, I'm going to quit wearing your dadgum jackets. He said, why? I said, because this thing's made in South America now. And he said, we're making them in Tennessee next year. And that was last year. Now I got to find out where the heck they're making them and get one made in Tennessee. It's called a Carhartt. Maxine Waters caught me in the elevator one time and said, are you that boy that always wears that barn jacket? And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, why do you wear that jacket? And I said, Chairwoman, it's just like me. I said, it holds up under pressure. It's American made and it's cheap.
Congressman Tim Burchett, by the way, Carhartt is a Michigan company. It should be made in Michigan again, but our policy is not the way they should be.
Just make it in America.
Absolutely.
And the reason me and Senator Kennedy couldn't, we need to go on the road because sex sells. We're both incredibly good-looking men.
Congressman Tim Burchett, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, brother. Pray for our country.
There you have it. All right. I don't know what we do. What are we going to do after that? I have no follow-up. I'm kidding. Coming up after the break, the United States faces threats to our national security every day, from the cartels flying drones into airspace to Iran's efforts toward nuclear programs. We'll be right back.
There are a few things more aggravating than seeing your tax dollars wasted by the government. All too often, when big government tries to save the day, the funds sent around the world to help people in need are diverted by corrupt leaders to line their own pockets, enrich their cronies, or further an agenda that has nothing to do with helping their countrymen. You can do a better job at promoting freedom than any government can. Scan the QR code now or visit atlasnetwork.org/RAV today to join the worldwide freedom movement. With your gift of just $19 a month, we'll send you an Atlas Network exclusive hat. Plus, we'll send the print edition of our Freedom's Champion magazine to your door. We identify, train up, and celebrate local leaders as they work to make freedom a reality across the world. Our partners often risk everything: their reputations, their livelihoods, even their lives, to fight for freedom in places where authoritarianism reigns. Visit atlasnetwork.org/RAV or scan the QR code to join our mission to help pro-freedom organizations around the world. Donate $19 a month to receive your exclusive Atlas Network hat. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
RAV has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with RAV. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are RAV.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
I'm Terry from New Jersey, and I just want to say that I love Real America's Voice. I love you guys. Keep up the good work.
Hi, this is Becky from the Florida Panhandle, and I love watching Real America's Voice for the programming, the hosts, and my Rad Chat family.
Well, Well, as we all saw earlier this week, the Federal Aviation Administration grounded flights at El Paso International Airport right there on the Mexican border. Happened February the 10th. For what they called special security reasons, they said, we're going to shut down the airport for 10 days and issued lethal force authorization in the airspace. Now, they quickly changed direction on that, but everyone wants to know what happened, so let's talk about it. Join me to discuss this, former senior advisor to the Secretary of War and leader of the Pentagon's Drone Dominance Initiative, Justin Fulcher. Justin, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so what do you know about what happened in El Paso? I mean, it was pretty dramatic there. They came out and they said, we're shutting down the airspace. It's going to be closed for 10 days. It really got a lot of attention, and within a few hours, they said, okay, we're good. We've taken care of the problem. Everything's back open. But it was quite an attention getter. What happened? What's the best that you know?
Well, I think any time that you have a temporary flight restriction in place, especially for security reasons, it's certainly a wake-up call. And it's no secret that, El Paso is, of course, a major border corridor. It's also near Fort Bliss, which is, a significant military infrastructure. And across the border, you have a major cartel activity zone. And so all of this is already sensitive airspace. But, nowadays, this is a wake-up call. And I think really it's a question of who controls U.S. airspace, especially at low altitude. And that's what we witnessed a few days ago, is this temporary flight restriction certainly was a wake-up call. And I think we can attribute this to a drone threat.
Yeah, and here's the concern. Many of these drones are made in China. They're inexpensive, easy to get your hands on. But again, they're made in China. We don't know what they're carrying. We don't know what they're on board with. And the cartels have almost unlimited resources with all their money. So that's a real serious concern, isn't it?
It's a huge concern. And I think, typically with these autonomous drone threats, you've got three primary buckets. The first bucket is, of course, in El Paso would be cartel activity. These drones are used for reconnaissance to, of course, assist smuggling and, cross-border operations attempted by the cartels. You also have an escalation of tactics of where, it's been known that cartels are well-resourced and are actually, employing kinetic drones at this point on both sides of the border. Secondly, you have foreign intelligence collection. China being a huge source of threat from that, because as you mentioned, the majority of these drones are made in China. But the proximity to Fort Bliss certainly is a wake-up call for China perhaps probing our security and trying to understand a lot more about what sort of U.S. operations are happening both there in the border, but also in the South America operations.
Sure.
And then finally, always domestic actors are a potential as well.
Real quickly, I want to ask you about one other thing. President Trump today taking questions before he got on Marine One. And one of the questions asked was, why did you put an aircraft carrier battle group in the Persian Gulf? And he said, because if the negotiations with Iran don't work out, we're going to need it. I mean, he was not ambiguous at all. What is the concern here? We've only got about 30 seconds, but what are your thoughts?
Well, President Trump has been very clear to the regime in Iran. Stop killing your people and abandon your nuclear weapons program. It couldn't be more clear that when President Trump speaks, he means it. We've seen that with Operation Midnight Hammer, and ultimately, pre-positioning naval assets in the Gulf is certainly a clear marker of intent that he means business.
He certainly does. Justin, good conversation. Appreciate you being here and bringing your expertise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, President Trump and First Lady Melania were at Fort Bragg earlier today. Busy day, meeting directly with military families and showing support for active duty servicemen and women. We'll go there and get some live discussion after this.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
6 wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted.
Seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Real America's Voice has been on the ground at one of the largest military installations in the country, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, covering President Trump and First Lady Melania meeting directly with military members and their families in support of active duty service members, focusing on family, quality of life, and support initiatives, and honoring the sacrifice of America's armed forces, and they make many. Joining now is Real America's Voice correspondent, host of Breaking Point, David Zier. He's right outside the entrance of Fort Bragg as we speak. Looks like a beautiful day in North Carolina. David, how was it?
It was great. By the way, we just left Fort Bragg. We're in Fayetteville, and I just passed Gruber Road in honor of you, Steve. But
there
listen,
you go.
Melania Trump opened up. She opened up the speech today, introduced Donald Trump. She had a heartwarming message for the families and a happy Valentine's wish. But a lot of young soldiers there with kids and wives. You know, people forget that aspect of how tough it is to be active U.S. military, especially in a high-pressure role like being in the 82nd Airborne or the 18th Airborne Corps or Delta operator, right? So hearts go out to these families here. But Trump made a fiery speech about how he is supporting the military, and annual recruitment goals, Steve, are up 116%, 5 months ahead of schedule. He talked about the new ships that he's building that are 100 times more powerful than our ships of World War II, 30 new Abrams, 48 new helicopters, 86 new all-purpose fighting vehicles, $1 billion invested in upgrading housing, a lot of that going to Fort Bragg. And he just gave the troops $1,776, Steve.
Which is always nice. Look, one of the things that's been very telling about Donald Trump since he came back into office, David, as you know, are the recruiting numbers. They have surpassed all previous years of Joe Biden's presidency dramatically. So my question to you is, do you feel the enthusiasm when Donald Trump comes into the room? What is the sense in the room?
You know, a lot of soldiers stay kind of apolitical. They recognize the commander-in-chief. They don't wear their heart on the sleeve all the time. So I think the attitude, though, is really interesting throughout, from the Pentagon top brass all the way down. You know, even in the Pentagon, like Hegseth says, you know, it's very bureaucratic. He admitted in my press gaggle with him at Joint Base Andrews the other day, the Pentagon is a bureaucratic machine. You know, you got 25,000 people there, the Title X community, and he's trying to cut through that red tape. And now that they got rid of DEI, they can focus on that message there. And I think the troops get it. I think they know that he has their back. You know, we took Fort Liberty and changed it back to Fort Bragg. He said, I can't guarantee you in 3 years that it'll stay that name. But I think he knows that he's giving them the resources and he has their back. He wants to have $1 trillion defense budget next year, maybe more, maybe up to $1.5 trillion proposed for the following year. But he wants soldiers to know that they don't have to be on food stamps and they don't have to be on welfare. And you're active U.S. military. You should be able to raise a family. Also, he's talking about a lot of commercial improvements down here to Fort Bragg. It's the largest base by population in the United States. It's a huge community here, an Army hospital on there. Pope Air Force Base is huge, getting our troops within 18 hours anywhere on the planet. Home to the 75th Rangers, 18th Airborne, 82nd Airborne, Delta operators, JSOC. It's massive over there, and he wants to make sure they're taken care of. But I think overall, people are enthusiastic, and I can't tell you how nice the people are, the majors, the lieutenant colonels, the colonels that we've been interacting with on the ground here over the last month. Just, again, I said it before, salt of the earth. I want them on our side.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just before he flew to North Carolina, he took a whole host of questions. Some of them focused on the aircraft carrier group that is in the Persian Gulf right now, and he has asked at least twice, well, why are they there? Because if Iran doesn't come to a deal with us, we're going to need it. Paraphrasing what he said, did that come up at all during the conversation with the soldiers today?
I think he did talk about that the second carrier is there, and we'll see how those negotiations go, that they fell apart the first time. But that gets a little complicated, right? These airstrikes done from a distance across the globe, air defense is taken out. In Iran, it's like it's a precision bombings from afar. But remember, Fort Bragg could be providing soldiers, even with the Insurrection Act, that happens with ICE and stuff around the country. 18th Airborne, military police will be going there, but these guys will be going abroad as special operators, maybe for, like they did in Venezuela for precision strikes.
Yeah, the Delta Force.
In and out raids,
Yep.
Who knows? It gets complicated, though, Steve, right? Nobody wants to see more incursions abroad, especially in Iran, right? 75 million people. It's a different animal altogether. But hopefully they do have something planned. The technology they have is just amazing. They've got these, bombs that could take out all of the communications. They took out all the Russian S-400 things in Venezuela. We were undetected going in there. It was just unprecedented, very sophisticated. Hopefully we could keep it to that level if we did anything in Iran to hit at their infrastructure and maybe avoid regime change.
Yeah. All right, David Zier, greatly appreciated from just outside Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Beautiful day there. Thank you, David. Now, every day, Americans make choices that shape our country's future, right down to which cell phone provider we support. Here's what most people don't realize. Patriot Mobile isn't just a wireless provider. They're an activist organization funded by selling top-tier cell phone service. They've been on the front lines defending our freedoms long before it was cool, standing in the gap when others simply would not. The best part is they deliver prioritized premium service on all three major U.S. networks, giving you the same or even better coverage, backed by 100% U.S.-based customer support. Get unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and so much more. And when you switch to Patriot Mobile, you'll help grow a movement that fuels the Christian conservative cause. Every bill helps advance the values of faith, family, and freedom. Switching is easier than ever, and that's important. Activate in just minutes. Keep your number, keep your phone, and you can upgrade if you'd like. Take a stand today. Go to patriotmobile.com/RAV or call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code RAV for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/RAV or call 972-PATRIOT. Make the switch today. I did long ago, and I'm pretty happy I did. Coming up after the break, TPUSA Frontlines is continuing its docu-series regarding the Islamification in the Western world. Episode 2 has now been released. Discussing it next right here on America's Voice Live.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted.
Seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now.
Hi, my name is Tracy Elk with Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Well, Frontlines TPUSA continues its documentary series focused on the Islamification in the Western world. The latest episode of Islamization of the West focuses on the grooming of women in England, featuring testimony from a former Metropolitan Police officer who claims authorities have failed to fully confront the scale of the abuse there. Part 2 builds on the first discussion, raising serious questions about accountability, public safety, and whether Western leaders are willing to address what critics describe as a growing cultural and law enforcement crisis. Joining me to discuss this is TPUSA Frontlines investigative reporter Vicki Richter, who is in London today. Vicki, nice to see you today. Tell us about episode number 2.
So episode number 2 is a very important episode to understand how important it is to talk about the problematic of Islamization of the West. And in the United Kingdom, this problem or the scandal about grooming gangs is not just happening since yesterday. So there are reports over industrial scandal and blindfolding of the problem since over 60 years. So you can think about the numbers of victims and survivors who are already occurring. And with the government right now happening in the United Kingdom, it seems that there are not a lot of people willing to stop that problem or even talk about it.
Here's what I don't understand, Vicki, and I see this on social media, as do so many others. You'll see somebody accused, maybe even convicted of sexual assault, an immigrant convicted of sexual assault in the UK and other European countries, to be quite honest with you, who then walk free. But then you'll see somebody who criticizes that on social media, they go to jail. I think our priorities are out of whack. Am I right or wrong about that?
Sadly, you are right that the priorities in the most of the Western countries in Europe or United Kingdom also is more than protecting the perpetrators, like the rapists and the criminals with this specific mindset and religion and ideology, and persecuting actually the own citizens for asking questions or even saying, yeah, we're not really happy with that and we don't want that our daughters get groomed, tortured, raped, and even killed in some situations. So there were cases, I know about 5, where the girls got even killed.
Yeah, and the perpetrators of these violent crimes. And look, the crime rates in London, where you are right now, have risen to levels that have not been seen there previously, if I'm not mistaken. Do you focus on, I'm sure you must focus on that in episode 2 as well.
Yeah, so the thing is, with London, you have this mayor, Sadiq Khan, who says, oh, London is one of the safest cities when it comes to crimes. But when you look a little bit deeper into the statistics, maybe murder went down. But when you come into the crimes like knife crimes, shoplifting, phone theft, like grabbing the phones, or even rape. So there are every 45 minutes there happens a rape in London. And this is
how do they not convict people? How do they not throw people in jail? Yeah, how do they not throw people in jail, Vicky, and just say, look, it's violent sexual assault, and there's all sorts of other crimes too, but this is the one we're focused on. How do the people of the United Kingdom, how do the people in London, how are they okay with this? Last word to you.
I don't think that the people are okay with that. The problem is the industrial scale of producing the crime and not going behind it. Like there's a lot of a huge scale of stopping crimes who are or not stopping the crimes. Like when you go into United Kingdom, the crimes are happening, but they're not persecuted because they're too much afraid about Islamophobia, to be called a racist or to be framed as a fascist or not promoting Islam. And the problem is Islam is already infiltrating the councils, and there's a lot of corruption there. So that's the word I was looking for, the corruption. So there's a huge problem with corruptions, even in the authority seats, like in the councils, in the police. So when you watch episode 2, part 1, you hear from the former metropolitan policeman, John Vetcher. He even was like at a meeting, seeing this corruption, that that the police was not allowed to persecute the actual active aggressors of an incident in Whitechapel, and the people who were actually the victims got persecuted because they were the ones who were actually protesting against what's happening in the United Kingdom with the grooming gangs.
Yeah. Vicki Richter, always a pleasure. Episode 2 now available. Thank you so much for being here today. It's a preview of what will happen in America if we don't wake up. Vicki, thank you for being here. Greatly appreciate it. All right, international disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There's a never-ending list of reasons gold has risen over 700% in just the last 20 years, and a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with Birch Gold Group. More than any other commodity on earth, gold thrives during uncertainty, which is why it's a crucial part of a balanced strategy. It gives you peace of mind given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold as a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text America to the number 989898 to receive your free information kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. They've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, tens of thousands of satisfied customers. Let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold so you too can have that peace of mind regardless of what happens. Text America to 989898. Again, text America to 989898. Do it today. Have that peace of mind. Before we go to break, I want to remind you to go check out the latest release from Real America's Music titled The Boss by Natasha Owens. Here's a sneak peek.
From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted.
Seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
A few minutes here on the program, we were addressing threats to America's national security from the drug cartels to Iran's nuclear program. And of course, there's always China in the mix. The threat of the Chinese Communist Party is grave, to say the least, maybe the biggest on the planet. You see, they have their finger in just about everything, from threats to our southern border to helping Iran arm themselves with nuclear weapons. Not only that, but there are major concerns over China's apparent organ harvesting industry. Yeah, that's still a thing. Something that caught the attention of some when Xi and Putin met in person and were caught on a hot mic speaking about organ transplants. One thing is very clear. China cannot be trusted. Joining me to discuss is senior editor with the Epoch Times and the author of a brand new book, Killed to Order, China's Organ Harvesting Industry and the True Nature of America's Biggest Adversary. Jan Jekielek is here. Jan, nice to have you. Look, organ harvesting, and I think the Uyghurs are one of the groups that are focused on from what I've read in the past. So how dark is this?
Well, let me give you a picture, and absolutely the Uyghurs are targeted, as you point out. So this is not your run-of-the-mill black market organ industry that you're seeing in different places around the world. This is something where you've got a state actor involved, okay? You have to be able to push coercive power through a population. You have to be able to propagandize against a group of people, dehumanize them, and you have to be able to incarcerate a really large number of people, for example, 1 million of them or something like this. And this is what the Chinese Communist Party did back in 1999 to the Falun Gong spiritual discipline, meditators, people practicing truthfulness, compassion, tolerance. Basically, it's something that got bigger than the Communist Party, that was a grassroots effort, and communists don't like something that doesn't fit into their hierarchy very neatly. They decided to wipe it out, to eradicate it, to use the words of the dictator at the time. Yeah. And some very evil person figured out there's a way to actually monetize this, okay? So when they dehumanized this large group of people, they put them incarcerated them in these prisons and black jails and all these different places. They started blood typing and tissue typing them, okay, and organ scanning them. And now someone like me, pre-2006, there were actually ads online that said this, right? If I have 200 grand in the pocket and I'm ready to pay, I can get a heart transplant in 2 weeks. scheduled, okay? And the only reason that can happen in a normal situation, in an ethical transplantation situation, like in the US, for example, someone has to have a catastrophic accident, right? And basically, and be for sure going to die, and then we might be able to take those organs if they happen to match me. In this case, these hundreds of thousands, if not more, people have already been blood type, tissue type, ready in a database to be killed to order. And that's why the book is called Killed to Order. And this has been happening to the tune of about 60 to 90,000 transplants a year since the late 2000s. And that's, and to the best of our knowledge, it's still happening today at that scale.
How in the world does a country like China end up on the Human Rights Commission at the United Nations? It just shows to me how failed the United Nations is and how failed we are. Look, if we know this is going on, America used to stand for human rights all over the world. If we're turning a blind eye to this, then I say there should be some shame on us as well. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, China has been really, really effective under the Communist Party at infiltrating and subverting these multilateral organizations like the UN. You saw what happened with the World Health Organization, right? When in the early days of COVID, basically the World Health Organization just took China's word for it instead of doing their own studies. That's an example, okay, of how that subversion works. And just like the Human Rights Commission and Human Rights Council, it's crazy the types of countries that are on there. I think it's a bit of a travesty that that's a reality. And I also think that it speaks to their effectiveness in basically, I remember how I just talked about this dehumanization of people being an important component. Absolutely. Right? This is something that is actually kind of baked into the communist system. And it's something called utilitarian bioethics. This is an approach, in the traditional medical model, right? We have a situation where a doctor looks at a patient and has to figure out, what is it that I can do for you, to help your particular individual situation? And also I have to make sure that whatever approaches I'm using don't harm you. Right? This is where the do no harm, the Hippocratic Oath comes in, right? Utilitarian bioethics is kind of the opposite end of that. It's the greatest good for the greatest number. It's okay to sacrifice a few, but the tragedy is in communist systems, you have a situation where that greatest good becomes the supremacy and survival of the Communist Party. So you can see where that leads. Exactly. And that's why you get these mass atrocities in every single manifestation of communism.
Well, I'd like to have you back, Jan. The book, Killed to Order, China's Organ Harvesting Industry and the True Nature of America's Biggest Adversary. Jan, very eye-opening. Greatly appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Steve.
Greatly appreciate it. If you thought it was bad, it's worse than that. After the break, we're going to bring you back up again. We have a story that reminds us of how wonderful America is, plus your answers to the America's Voice question of the day. Why do you think the Democrats want to defund the Department of Homeland Security? Your answers, America, after the break.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted.
Seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. they found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit realamericasvoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
All right, what makes America wonderful? We do it every day because I want to put a smile on your face before you go on your way, and this is for the weekend, so this is for all the marbles right here. Today's story comes to us from St. George, South Carolina, a small town of about 1,800 people, where a rare winter storm brought freezing rain, bitter temperatures, and dangerously cold conditions. Yeah, it was bad. As the cold set in, one homeless man, Chris Brannon, and his loyal dog, Mowgli, were left outside with nowhere to turn. Carlos Canales, a member of the community, spotted the pair shivering in the freezing rain. He gave Brannon the cash he had on hand and later returned with hot food. But he couldn't forget the sight of icicles forming on the man's beard, feeling called to do more. Canales turned to social media, and the community answered. Phone calls and messages poured in while local leaders and residents worked to track Brannon down and quickly raise funds and put him in, and Mowgli, the dog, in a hotel for the week. More than 70 acts of generosity followed. Cash donations, hot meals, supplies, and even a really nice winter coat for Mowgli. God bless the dog. The motel manager even offered additional nights of free of charge. In the midst of a harsh storm, this small town proved what it's like to be a neighbor. When they come together, compassion can outshine the cold, and that's what makes America wonderful today. All right, quickly, the question of the day. Why do you think the Democrats want to shut down and defund DHS? Steve Nabak. Short answer, yes, along with CBP and ICE. Yeah, they do. That wasn't really the answer. Reva Rice, the same reason a toddler throws a fit in the store when they don't get what they want. Now, Reva, that's the best answer of the day. Greg Van Gelder, same reason they're against the SAVE Act. They hate America. Tam McDonald writes, simple. They want power and to continue to commit fraud and destroy the freedoms and Constitutional Republic of America. Some truth to that. Roger Coburn says they want to save their voter roll. Well, there's truth to that. And Trish Hicks has this. For the same reason, they don't want voter ID. They need the votes. Any which way they can. We'll leave it there for today. It's been a very busy week. Boy, this 2026 sure got off to a quiet start, didn't it? Right. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Anyhow, we always appreciate you being here on Real America's Voice. Without you, I'd be talking to myself. I only do that after the show. Don't forget to join me Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. to kick off the live broadcast day on Real America's Voice with the Steve Gruber Show. Then I'll see you Monday through Friday right here at 3 o'clock for America's Voice Live.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted,
Seditious conspiracy.
but behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This
It's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.